Today it is my pleasure to deliver the 2014-15 Goondiwindi Regional Council budget. Despite ongoing reductions in state and federal government, the Goondiwindi Regional Council has been able to deliver a budget with a small surplus after implementing a 2.8% rate rise after discount. Naturally, constituents will need to pay in full by the due date in order to take advantage of the generous 15% discount. As explained in previous years, this does not mean that everyone will receive a 2.8% increase, as rate notices are based upon the annual land valuations provided by the state. Landowners will have received their valuation notices recently, and those experiencing a significant valuation increase can expect a higher than average rate rise. Landholders are encouraged to review their valuation notices when received and take up any issues with the state through the prescribed processes. Our staff continue to work on systematic review of operational practices to ensure that services delivered to our residents are delivered as efficiently as possible. I would like to congratulate the staff on the work they have done in this area over the past years, as we continue to enjoy similar and in some cases improved services despite the reduction in grants. Work continues on Council's long-term waste management strategy, with community consultation likely to commence later this year. Some important infrastructure will be constructed at major landfill sites during the next year to support this strategy. It is expected that this infrastructure will let Council accurately measure the use of various landfills to enable more accurate cost recovery into the future. As outlined following the last water levy, Goondiwindi Regional Council is able to offer residents some of the most affordable water rates in the state, with the cost of water increasing by 4 cents per kilolitre. In major urban areas of Goondiwindi and Texas, this will be $1.16 per kilolitre. In the smaller urban communities of Yalarbin and Torwood, the rate will increase to $1.06, while Bungunya and Tabir untreated water supplies will increase to 60 cents per kilolitre. It is important that ratepayers do consider their consumption and regularly review their meter to ensure that water is being used as efficiently as possible. This is particularly important during dry periods, as we have recently experienced where Council treated 35% more water than the same period for the previous year. Basically, the Goondiwindi Regional Council endeavours to maintain the high service standards for towns and rural areas without significantly impacting on rates. Council continues to appreciate the great work being undertaken by various organisations throughout the region. It is, however, important that people understand that the funding cutbacks being experienced by these groups and organisations are also being felt by your council. Council simply can't afford to make up the funding shortfall for these groups whilst maintaining rates to reasonable levels. Council will continue to lobby for funding and assistance on behalf of organisations wherever possible. I have recently been made aware of some interesting statistics in relation to the taxes collected. 80% of the taxes collected are collected by federal government, 17% by state government, leaving only 3% for local government. These figures show that Council have very limited ability to be able to support these services once other levels of government remove their funding. With a tight budget like this, there are very few major projects included in the 2014-15 capital budget. Obviously, funding these new projects remains a major hurdle, as state and federal governments are reducing funding opportunities to regional councils. Council must also be mindful of the ongoing costs that exist with any new infrastructure that must be funded by the ratepayer. There are a number of rehabilitation and upgrade works included in this year's capital budget. It is planned to continue the streetscape upgrades of Goondiwindi, Inglewood and Texas, with some works also planned for rural centres as well. It is also planned to continue the upgrade of the Kioma and Kildonan roads and to use $438,000 of state funding identified to upgrade the Mount Carmel road for its use in the resource industry related projects. The water main replacement program will continue in Goondiwindi, Inglewood and Texas, as will the upgrade of automated monitoring of the Inglewood sewage treatment plant. The next levee flood pump will be installed in Frieswade Street and a detailed flood study finalised for Inglewood. The capital budget remains at $11.1 million for the year. However, the focus is clearly on renewing the assets we have rather than installing too many new ones. At the time of writing, Goondiwindi Regional Council was in the process of receiving tenders for the construction of the new cultural precinct in Goondiwindi. This will ultimately decide the future of that project. This project will be considered by Council in late July once all tenders are received and the financial impacts modelled. Based upon quantity surveyor estimates, it is expected that the redevelopment and sale of one surplus building in Goondiwindi will result in operational cost reductions. The non-financial community benefits will be enormous and lead to better service delivery for our communities. I encourage the community to stay connected and be involved in the consultation process that will occur during the year. Council is fully aware that rate rises must be kept to a minimum, but at the same time acknowledges the strong message that the current service levels must be maintained. It is a delicate juggling act, but I am sure that this budget will deliver the requirements to the public.